Welcome to the Free Cheese, episode 482. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Zellner.
Hello.
Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, we're playing and ranking Max Payne, the 2001 video game. Before that, I want to know, the first time you went to New York City, Mark, did you think it was going to be exactly like the world of Max Payne?
No, because I didn't have much context of Max Payne with the first when I went to New York the first time. I thought it was gonna be more like Home Alone 2, and I was disappointed.
You didn't meet a pigeon lady in the park?
No.
I'm sorry.
No bandits.
Matt, what was your expectation of New York City before going there?
It was not Max Payne because, as Max Payne said, he was living more in Noir York City instead of New York City.
Classic.
I had like zero expectations for New York. I just knew there was going to be a bunch of people and a bunch of lights in Times Square, and I got that. Check.
The one thing that was true to form is that every license plate in the city just said the word vodka on it, so that checked out. Otherwise,
you're right.
You know. Yeah. Was today's date? Yes, I was just in New York. I was just there.
Was it everything you hoped?
Huh?
Was it everything you hoped and dreamed for to be like Max Payne?
Yes, exactly. Max Payne, developed by Remedy Entertainment, published by Rockstar, first released in 2001. Funnily enough, first release was 23rd of July 2001 for Windows. The PS2 version and Xbox versions would not release until December of that year. The PS2 version launched on December 6th, with the Xbox just a week later on December 12th. It would later come to Mac OS, Game Boy Advance, and then poured it all over the gosh darn town.
Interesting.
I didn't know this had a Game Boy Advance. I'm like interested now.
I think that one is like an isometric shooter.
Yeah, that's what it looks like from the screens. I just want to see it in action.
I think that was like one of the like launch titles or something. Not launch, but near launch for Game Boy Advance.
I don't know.
It actually doesn't look bad in motion.
No,
like
it's
is it great? No, but it's Game Boy Advance. Anyway, we're not
the
Game Boy Advance one.
I would have thought the PS2 and like console versions would have been first, then PC. But the fact that PC came first, that explains a lot.
Back of the box quote here. Max Payne is a man with nothing to lose in the violent, cold urban night. A fugitive undercover cop framed for murder and now hunted by cops and the mob. Max is a man with his back against the wall, fighting a battle he cannot hope to win. Prepare for a new breed of deep action game. Prepare for pain. And that pain is followed by an ellipses. Along with, some screenshots and little hints about what you'll be doing as you lead Max through plot twists, twisted bad guys, and stunning revelations. I'm curious to hear if that seems accurate for both of you. Painstaking attention to detail, even the bullets are modeled accurately. That's just printed on the back of the box.
Is Payne written like his last name every time?
Oh my gosh, no. They should have done that.
No?
No.
Throw it away. Trash it. Episode done.
Self-adjusting difficulty keeps you in the sweet spot of gameplay bliss. I do want to talk about that.
I did not know that. What? Okay.
Bullet time lets the player use slow motion gameplay to bring down enemies, and bullet time is trademarked, so
yep.
Jot that down.
Didn't know that. Thought that was just like a term we all just used, like Metroidvania or something.
I wonder if they still hold the trademark.
Well, who would hold it, Remedy or Rockstar?
That's a great question. Bullet time. The term bullet time first used to reference The Matrix. Later, the video game Max Payne.
The Max Payne probably saw it, was like, we gotta put a patent down on this.
Yeah,
Sam Lake just owns it.
That seems right. Bullet time was also used for the first time in a live music entertainment in October 2009 for Creed's live DVD, Creed Live. So,
Creed
Live is the first time. The weird thing is that, wait, that's in a live music environment. What does that even mean?
So did they just warp reality?
This off.
Did they just slow down the world?
That checks out.
Are they more powerful than I thought?
I don't know. I see Bullets by Creed, but I think that's just a song.
That's just Scott Stapp shooting.
What do you think
people.
they used the bullet time for? Like,
yeah, interesting.
I'll look into this more later. There's a lot of questions.
A lot. Yeah, I can't tell who owns the trademark. It's not in the footer of the box art. Usually, those things are down there.
right.
It just tells me that Remedy and blah, 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 blah.
Well, I know what I'm asking Sam whenever I run into him.
I know what I'm asking Santa for. Bullet Time is a trademark of Warner Brothers Entertainment,
Oh, it probably is now.
according to trademarklight.com.
Or maybe Remedy had to pay up to use it.
It could be. Do you need an attorney and trademark registration? Only $300 for the... What is this?
Oh, I ever trying to chase that down? I found some things. A thing worth maybe checking out in some spare time. It's the music video for Bullets by Creed.
Oh, boy. Yeah, if you could share that
all,
our way.
Yeah, that's in the Discord. Don't worry, under the Max Payne thread.
Great. Speaking of the Max Payne thread, yeah, let's talk about Max Payne, the video game. Matt, you added this to our list, which also, Mark, apologies. I realized this week that we never did like an official, hey, whoops, that was Mark's last game on the podcast.
What was my last game?
I think your last game was Deadly Premonition.
Oh yeah,
that checks out.
That's a good send off.
We thanked Zach, I think.
We probably did thank Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Matt, you're kind of closing out the back half of the year here. I've got one more next week, and then yeah. But Max Payne, you added to the list. Was this a? What drove you to add this one to the list?
Oh no, this is one of those. When I think of PS2 games or like games of this era, this is like top of headcanon there. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was the impetus. It was I want a PS2 game on this list, and the first you did...
kinda, I guess. No, I don't know when we were putting this list together. I think I would just think of like cool games throughout. Again, how I came to be to where I am now. Like this was another one of those games I ended up playing later. I ended up playing in college on Mac OS of all platforms. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was playing it, I pretty much played through the last 2/3 of the game all in one sitting during a hurricane in the era. So it was weird. Like I didn't have the snowstorm per se, but you definitely could not go outside because it was windy and rainy.
Sure.
And I don't know, it kind of just hit the mood. I was playing from late into the night, like like I probably started like at 9 and was probably playing to like 1 or 2 a.m. or something, all in one sitting. And man, this game is fucking crazy and awesome all at the same time. And yeah, I think I remember this game fondly from that era.
Mark, what was your first time playing Max Payne?
My memory has a hard time with this. It might have been a rental. It might have been saw a friend play it. Might have played like 5 minutes of it, and that was it. I definitely seen it more than I played it.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew what this game was, and there was a lot of games afterwards that were similar or like competing with this, like Dead to Rights and maybe the first True Crime. But definitely Dead to Rights, I think I had more time with than Max Payne. But I always thought about Max Payne around that era. So it definitely it was always from a distance more than anything.
I remember getting GTA 2 as a rental from Blockbuster, liking it, obviously, and buying it. I remember we bought it, and when we got it, it was like the greatest hits edition because we bought it months before GTA 3 was due out. So inside of the cover for GTA 2 that I have, there's an ad for GTA 3. We get
That's
GTA
cool.
3, and I don't know if you both know this, but GTA 3 was a pretty big deal. Like a pretty
I'd say pretty popular.
Might have heard of it.
So when I ended up at Blockbuster in late 2001 and I see the Rockstar logo on the front of Max Payne, that was what drew me to it from what I remember, which it's funny to think that that's how things used to work back then, which I guess I still kind of do in the same way, right? Like you know developers and publishers these days, so you know the pedigree or whatever. But yeah, I remember that was one of the first moments where outside of knowing it's a Nintendo or it's a Sega, I knew like, oh, this is Rockstar. Like this is probably going to be fun, right? Or bloody or whatever thing I was chasing when I was 12. But then playing it now here in 2022, I don't know if I did rent this. If I did rent it, did I actually beat it? Or have I just thought of Dead to Rights this entire time too? Because I distinctly remember renting Dead to Rights. It was kind of a rainy-ish day, and my friends and I skipped school and stayed in my bedroom beating Dead to Rights in a single sitting, and then took it back to Blockbuster the same day.
It's like, do you remember Poem by Taproot playing?
Yes.
Dead to Rights, baby.
Ah, shoot.
So I never played Dead to Rights. I know what it is, but I never played it.
It was one, like, and I remember the weather specifically. It was kind of like rainy in the morning. It was one of those days where we were supposed to get snow, and we got cheated. So we just said, screw it, we skipped school anyway. And I remember we walked to Blockbuster in the morning in the kind of like rainy sleet, whatever, got the game, went back, beat it, and then walked back to Blockbuster, returned it, got something else, and then the day was, it was winterish, so, the sun was down quickly, and we just all went our separate ways. But that's my Max Payne history.
So, I mean, before I ended up playing on Mac OS and being it years later, like, I definitely rented this game. And I would have fun. I would get through the first act, and then Act 2 starts. And I couldn't. There's a sequence that I think is pretty infamous with this game now. The two nightmare sequences that happen at the beginning of Act 2 and Act 3. I remember not being able to beat it because I couldn't see the fucking path.
Playing that now, it was difficult. And it's like very touchy. Like you need to be very precise.
Yeah, Max doesn't move well. I don't know if that's Yeah,
you get like weird like gravity jumping in that sequence.
Yeah, because I kept trying to like leap to parts I shouldn't.
Should not be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember like the TV. TVs at that time. We're not talking like crisp HD or whatever. Like my TV was too dark, and like even messing with some of the settings, I still couldn't necessarily see where I was going. It wasn't until years later on Mac OS when they were a little bit easier to manipulate settings. I beat it.
Yeah. Yeah, weirdly, this is one of the first games in the list that I 100% played using the Backbone controller and my phone. There's been some other ones since I bought that thing a few months back. There's been some games in the list that I've done with like remote play or xCloud or whatever. This one is the first one where like, I've played it just on my phone using that controller.
Yeah, I knew you were playing on your phone, but I didn't know it was dedicated, like just exclusive to your phone. I didn't know if you were like switching between stuff, but yeah.
No, yeah, like some other ones we've done, like Mass Effect and Blinks and whatnot. I was jumping and doing remote play, but no, this one straight up just phone. And the mobile port of this is really good. Like, it's widescreen, which is nice.
Probably should have done that.
It's cheap too. It's like $3 full price, I think. I would say the touch controls are probably like they are very much of 2012. Like they're that kind of like on-screen D-pad and like even the button designs, like you can tell they're of a different iOS design era.
Without a backbone, could you like Bluetooth controller it or what?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Could.
Yes.
So Steam version. Take notes.
On iPad or iPhone, there's an Android version as well that I assume is probably roughly the same. But yeah, it was just one of those things where I bought the Backbone and I was like, oh crap, what do I do with this thing now? And then looking ahead, I was like, oh, you know what? Max Payne is on our list, and Max Payne is $3 on the App Store. But it was good, and it still feels like a PS2 game, even though they've like, ported it. You know what I mean? Like it's got that kind of. I don't know if you guys have played any of the GTA stuff that, not the newest one, the remaster, but like when they ported those to Steam, like this feels like that. Whoever did that those ports, that's what this Max Payne game feels like.
Okay.
On mobile. But Matt, you played the Xbox like backwards compatible version this time, right?
Yeah, it was available in the marketplace, so I just spent the money on it, and I saw that original Xbox startup logo for the first time in a bit.
Yeah,
you all made me play a terrible fucking game earlier this year.
we could do worse. We'll see what happens in a couple weeks.
It's good experience on Xbox.
I really bit it. I forgot you could buy it on. I mean, I knew you were playing on your phone, but I just didn't think about it when it came to playing it. I didn't know you could get it on Xbox. I just suffered through the Steam version.
Yeah, which that one seems like I remember. So if that
which I actually ended up liking.
Yeah, if that's the same port as those GTA games were terrible on Steam. Like, I could never get an Xbox 360 controller hardwired to work well with it at all. Like, I had to manually map each button. It sucked.
Right, or like needed like a third-party program to like translate keyboard controls to a controller. Yeah. This has no controller support whatsoever. But I did learn fairly quickly that I kind of preferred using a mouse to shoot than aiming with a controller. So
now, did that version also have the widescreen stuff?
So yes,
but
yeah, I mean it was. It was like before you booted it up, like a little window popped up and you could pick the resolution size and all that stuff. So I was able to do it natively.
Because I did appreciate that.
There are fixes for it somehow.
Oh.
But yeah. It was nice to incorporate it.
But let's talk about the world and the setup, I guess. So it is Christmas time. It has been 3 years since Max Payne's family was murdered. And he goes out to avenge their deaths and try and crack down on police corruption while also taking on the mob, right?
Well, all right. So his baby and wife are murdered by junkies, all jacked up on what they call V.
Okay, yes, sorry.
And then
Valkyrie.
because of that, he steps down as, I think he was like a detective or an investigator or something like that for the police, or for police. And he switched to the DEA after the death to try to help crack down on V and stuff like that, or to get to the main source of it and bring it down. And he goes deep undercover in the mob as a result of this investigation.
Thank you. And through that, the rest of the story kind of plays out.
Yes. Yeah. We'll say
as
that.
You imagine. But one of the first things that kind of happens pretty early on when you're just in a subway station is a partner of his from one of the organizations now. I don't remember which one. DEA, probably. Where was Alex from? DEA?
I think. I can't keep track of where, especially early one, who belonged to who.
I thought he was a detective, but...
Okay.
But they say early there's only like 2 people that know Max is undercover.
Yes.
And I think this guy was one of them.
He was one of them, and he gets shot in the head by somebody that you can see them do it as the player, but Max can't see who it was. And as the player, you have no context for who it is either. And so that guy's dead, and then Max Payne is framed for the murder. So as you start to make your way through, you start to interact with television screens that are letting you and the world know that Max Payne was a former NYPD officer turned DEA agent, turned undercover mob member. So now the mob knows and the police know, and everybody is hunting down Max Payne as he takes drugs and moves in slow motion. It's kind of the hook, right?
Yeah. It is awesome.
That's the part. Did Dead to Rights have pills?
Ooh, I wouldn't put it past them.
Because the pills are the thing I remember from this game the most, weirdly enough. I don't know
crunch.
The crunch of it, the sound, like the dedicated pill button. I don't know. I remember
that's as
pills.
ridiculous as it sounds, dedicated pill button.
It's a
Just watching that red go down very slowly.
Yeah.
Valkyr is the name of that drug, by the way. I want to call it Valkyrie, but it's Valkyr.
Yeah.
Right, Valkyr.
Val Kilmer.
But turns out it's because of Valkyrie.
But you kind of see that, right? As you start to work through the world, you're like running into people who are this identical character models, but also they are on Valkyr, right? And they are trying to keep warm. They're, coming down, going up, whichever way they're going. And I actually felt bad. There were some moments where like I'd walk into a room and like this game is all about just shoot, right? Shoot everything in sight. Because everybody, like we said, everyone is hunting Max. So you walk into a room, if you see a body, you pull the trigger, and it gets a little hairy in some of those earlier parts in like chapter 1. Because part 1?
Act 1.
Part 1.
Okay, yes, that part. Because a lot of the like bathrooms and corners and rooms you run into are, the random people that are on drugs trying to just stay warm or something, and you just unload on them. And I felt bad a lot.
Chapters like maybe 2 through 5 or whatever, when you're in that that fucking rundown hotel that Max even like going into is like, oh, everyone here. Mm-hmm. It's just a den for Valkyr or whatever. He said in a cool Max Payne way. But,
it's like the only graffiti on the walls too. Like it's just Valkyr written everywhere. V's. Yes. Like everyone loves it.
I was pretty good about not shooting them, but there was one time where like you walk into a room, you immediately see a wall, and like you have to make a right. There were 2 junkies there, and then it's like a U-turn like around this wall up the stairs. And you kind of learn very early on that this game is all about, like, if you cross the line, the enemies will come. So there's a lot of, like, peeking the corner, then coming back to let the enemies come. Yeah. And I did that, and I heard the enemies like, Darius, so like I kind of come back down the steps and to make the U-turn. And I'm like kind of waiting for them to kind of come along this wall. They start shooting, and they shoot the junkies. And in turn, the junkies start shooting me. Like, I didn't fucking shoot them.
I didn't know they didn't have guns. They were always just like strung out whenever I'd run into them.
Some of them have guns. So, yeah, if you fuck with them, they'll fuck with you.
Everyone I've killed has dropped a pistol. I was like, you know what, then? You would have turned on me any second. Like,
whatever makes you feel better, Mark.
Yep, that's exactly what I live with.
Yeah, but I know that was just a funny situation. Like they're getting shot at by the mob, but then they shoot me instead. Like,
the AI is something for sure. Like I love it when one is trying to shoot you, but they shoot their own teammate and kill them instead.
That's good.
Like,
those are good.
Or even when they throw like a Molotov or a grenade, and then they proceed to chase you, and they run right into the explosion. So good. Oh. Come from the other room.
I think that is that's a key thing. Like, this was of an era where cinematic storytelling in games was early. It wasn't not happening. It was certainly happening. Mm-hmm. We had stories in games, but this game was, here's a cool mechanic. Let's make a cool crime story set in New York that you can shoot and, because like when you think about what this game is, like you don't do much. You walk through areas, you kill things, you sometimes slow down, and you eat pills. It's basically Pac-Man.
Well said.
But there's so much more to it, right? Like there's the comic book storytelling, the straight up like comic book panels that paint out how the story is told, and there's all of this kind of like, I don't know, it's very Punisher-esque, like that whole like backdrop of New York and this like mob thing and ex-cop, and it flows, it works really well. But it was something I think at the time that felt bigger than I think we can realize right now, because every game would be this at a minimum now. You know what I mean? Like it's what we've come to expect of video games. Like you're going to have gameplay, you're going to have a story, like this was kind of the Hollywoodification of things.
Oh, definitely. Like they even say it in the game, but it's a very like John Woo inspired.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy because you say like this game's at a minimum, but some games like don't do what this game does. Like every cabinet is interactable, and even the ones that are clearly they're clearly as drawn on like cabinets or like drawers or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you can clearly tell they're not supposed to be open. But even if you go up to and hit interact, it'll at least make like the lock sound.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, I played this right around the launch of Warzone 2, and like Warzone 2's big thing is about this whole new looting system where things are supposed to be where they're at, but like you go into a house, you can't open a kitchen drawer and there's no noise for it or whatever. And it's crazy to think like this game on PS2 has so much attention to detail on that. Yeah, it doesn't look like the greatest today, but there's so many weird attention to detail things that you don't see today, especially in games that are focused on that. It was wild when going back and forth between the two.
That's a really
I don't
good
know,
point.
it made me appreciate it a lot.
No, that all of that stuff, like you're right. There's so many games now that are huge but have no character, no like believability, where this one did do that in a big way.
And if you're a fan of Remedy games, you can see where a lot of their ideas have spawned from this game.
Yeah.
Like
that's a really
having
good point.
Like as you go throughout the stages and you see little TVs that turn on and you see like a little show that has nothing to really do with anything, but that is like a TV playing a show has always been a staple, I feel, in these Remedy games. And it's funny because one was called My Lord, My Lady. And it's these two characters who always refer to each other as my lord or my lady at the beginning of their sentences. So like, my lord, I have to come talk to you. Oh, my lady, what is it? And like, it's like a soap opera, but it basically is the finale of Game of Thrones. They like predicted it.
Oh, that's funny.
Way back. It's like the same exact like plot twist. I thought that was hilarious. But then there's like another one that was like I don't know if this would be like a nod to like Twin Peaks or something, but there was like a guy in a room with a flamingo. And the flamingo could talk about how like it's cooler to be in the real world versus like than like looking into a mirror or something like that. Something with doppelgangers, really strange. But I was like, I thought of Control because there's an altered item which is a flamingo on top of a TV. I didn't know if that was a nod to Max Payne or not.
It had to have been, right? Like there's so much of.
But that's like a deep cut, like.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Control was very much that, but I think also like the way that Remedy does like just kind of bake in all these things that make the world feel real. Like I kept like I'm really glad you brought that up, Matt, because I did not like I made notes of that, but I did not think to even talk about it. But yeah, like touching a soda machine, although you can't like drink the soda or do anything, but like having it like take a second, you hear the can fall, like all of that stuff that happens.
You could tell they were proud of it.
Oh yeah, and they should be.
And I feel like, I mean, I know we're talking about 1, but I feel like in 2, it was even taken to another level in terms of like just the shit everywhere around you being like breakable or moves depending on destruction or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a second of gameplay from 2.
So you may have, it's just it looks so close to Max Payne 1.
Probably.
I have a bad story about Max Payne 2, which is sad, but maybe next year, ? We'll learn more about that. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, those remakes are on the way.
I forgot about those remakes. I forgot.
Right, I was like, the whole time I'm playing, I'm like, this game needs to be remade, like,
I mean,
for multiple reasons.
Doing that, and they're doing Control 2 now. I don't know if you all saw that.
Oh, yeah. Because I know there was like the multiplayer thing before, but the fact that there's a full LNC, that's expected. I'm not surprised by that. I welcome it.
It's no release timeline on these remakes, but they're going to be a single title. Just
just like have them under like one, play both under one thing, kind of like Mass Effect Legendary.
Yeah, no planned release date. The 2 games, it'll probably be Max Payne 1 and 2 or something like that, and do it Tony Hawk style.
So I'm glad he talked about the release schedule because I forgot that this came out on Windows first technically, but I like how encouraged quick saving is in this game.
Oh my gosh! Okay, I thought
so that is on the consoles.
Yeah, I thought that was just on the iOS port because it was like so convenient.
Yeah, that's a very Quake thing to add.
Yeah. And just to double down, like it wasn't an addition on the Xbox Marketplace. Like I read a guide for a certain section of this because I forgot what it to do. The beginning of Act 2 is very hard if you don't know what you're doing with the baseball bat.
Oh my god!
Really?
Yeah.
I just swung, and picked up guns and turned around.
I kept dying. I remember struggling
RNG.
with that. I remember struggling with that part in Mac OS too. So like there was. Anyway,
you need to channel your inner baseball bat boy.
Look, I had the time crunch was real to get this done before. So any kind of snafu that took longer than 5 minutes, I looked up. Anyway, using that guy though, I like the guy clearly written back then encouraged quick saving, like as soon as you took down enemies. So like you talk about I think this game can be difficult at times, especially with everything's a trap. Like you walk into a room, it's a trap. You open the door, it's a trap. You go up the stairs, it's a trap. You go up the top of the step, it's a trap. So it's like it's hard, but I also did appreciate the fact that like even if I die, of course you can reload, but even if I got hurt too much and I felt like, I could do that much more clean, I just reload it. So I don't know. I never had a problem with the difficulty, and I played this on the harder, not the unlockable hard ones, but just the harder of the 2.
So it's been a bit since I started the game, but did you have to select a difficulty at the beginning?
Yeah, it gave me. There were 2 that were. I think there were 2 that were locked. 2 that were locked. 2 that were unlocked. And the one was like easy, and then the other one was considered like hard. I don't know how hard it was because there's another harder one.
Yeah.
That's unlockable, but Yeah,
Because I don't remember
difficulty.
selecting. I'm sure that I did, but I don't
Yeah,
remember.
like when you hit new game, I only had the one available. Or it looked like
really?
one was available.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I didn't bother to like select anything. I just did the default.
No, because I made sure to do a tutorial because I wanted to make sure that RB and LB were mapped to black and white because black and white was controls back in the day.
Right.
So I did that, and then I started a new game and made me pick from there. But no, like I think about the difficult. Like I like when you think about like the trap situation. Like if you were a mobster, wouldn't you do the same thing? Like hide in a corner until fucking Max popped out, try to kill him. Like, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't throw a grenade and immediately run into my own grenade. That's where probably the reality gets blurry a little bit, but...
Yeah, but in a stressful situation like that, it's tough to know what you would do in the moment.
Oh, man. Throw a Molotov and run into the fire that's been going there for 5 seconds already, then burn alive.
Honestly, stay warm. It's cold. New York's cold, man.
There were a lot of parts. I guess the downside to this is I think saving as many times as you can is the smart thing to do. There were a lot of moments where I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do in a specific scenario. Like built the restaurant or whatever that was on fire. Took me so long to get through.
It took me a couple of tries.
I just could not figure out the pathing on it, and it was tricky. But there was another one earlier on, like a building that blew up or something, and it kind of soft locked on me.
That and like scaling the rooftops and like just trying to find the context clues of like where you can and can't go, or having to like shoot down a door or something.
Yeah,
it was a little bit of a learning curve.
But it also, like, putting yourself back in the mindset of a PS2 era game helped. This really, I think, Matt, you said it at the beginning as a reason to add it to the list. This is very, I think, representative and indicative of the PS2 era, and it was a lot of fun.
I guess the other thing I just want to bring up, like, the game story is fucking ridiculous, but it's like ridiculous. Like it got to the point where, like, I mean, I'm not going to try to spoil anything, but like, you're in an underground army base at one point in Act 3. Like, how you get there is so ridiculous, but by the end of it, like, the next twist comes, you're like, of course this has happened to Mask, because what else bad could happen to him tonight? I don't know, you just gotta buy it into the story and how ridiculous it is. And I think it's more awesome. Like, the more curveballs that kept being thrown at me, I thought the more awesome it became, and, like, not ridiculous. Like, it is ridiculous, but, like, ridiculous in a great way.
Like,
and it sets Remedy off on a good path, like, to take the rest of its stuff forward.
Like, part of it felt like it was going to be a horror game for a second.
Yeah, it has, that element, especially, like, the nightmare sequences.
The nightmare sequence, yeah.
Yeah, but just like towards the end of Act 1 or whatever, like that boss fight and everything, I was just like, what the fuck am I about to run into here? Like, am I actually playing Quake?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that was a weird boss fight. Like him talking the way. Lupinello. Was that Lupinello? No, he's. Did I even say a right name? It sounded right.
I think it's right.
Giuseppe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cannoli.
Does 2, I don't remember 2 at all, but did 2 like go more into the weirdo stuff, or did it get more grounded and stay in New York?
I don't remember, to be completely honest with you.
I'm curious to find out.
I know, I mean, the box art kind of tells you, but it definitely deals more with Mona.
Right, okay.
I don't remember. I remember 3 more so than 2. I never beat 2 because the fucking memory card and save games and bullshit back in the day.
Right.
I got fucked.
That's
thing. The worst. It's the worst.
I got fucked real hard because I was enjoying the hell of that game too. I just could never bring myself to replay it.
Ugh.
But now I'm ready. I kind of want to like. I beat this game and I was ready to buy 2 on the Xbox Marketplace, and I just stopped myself because there's other things I want to play. But like, it's still. weeks later is still like it's there. Like I want to play it, and I don't be shocked if like by the maybe not for the podcast, but at some point you hear me mention that I played Max Payne 2.
I'll wait for the remakes.
Yeah,
I kind of want to play. I kind of want to play it raw and then go back and play the
see,
remakes. Yeah.
Fair.
Well, not to bring this one speeding sideways in slow motion to its end, but
I mean,
is there
hit
a
everything.
lot more? Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton to say about Max Payne.
It was reminding me of Hotline Miami in a couple ways too, just with like just how instant everything is, and you're taking down a mob and just like room to room, you could just die at any moment. And
you can die; they die in a shot in most cases.
Yeah, it's just everything's just so batshit crazy with how dirty they fight you and everything. It's just like you're saying, yeah, man. It's just a trap around every corner. It's just tight corridors for a lot of it too.
Yeah,
I like the I'll call it a boss fight for all intents and purposes, but I like the very end boss fight too. I like the little puzzle.
Yeah, I would call that a boss fight. Yeah, and that's stuff that like you'd later see them do in Control. Well, I guess is Control the only big game of theirs I've played other than this?
Did you play any Alan Wake?
Oh, I did play Alan Wake. Right.
Or
I didn't beat it, but I did play it.
Quantum Break.
No, Matt played.
I was the one to play Quantum Break.
I started to play that, but I didn't follow through with it.
I like Quantum Break. It was definitely ambitious, and it didn't hit every note, but it was.
You can tell, like even with Max Payne, you can tell that like Remedy wants to make a fucking movie or a TV show. Like they definitely just want to go all in, and like it's like it. I put him up there with Kojima with terms of like the creativity of like one and using like multimedia and stuff like that, and trying to just bleed everything together. But
because it's so cinematic and so inspired by that like it's almost like, why don't you go make one? But if they were to make a movie or a straight up whatever, it would lose so much by it not being a game. Same with Kojima, I think it's the same.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say that Quantum Break, I don't think its main problem was the fact that it was a TV show.
No.
I don't want to say that was a strength either, but like I enjoyed like the little 20-minute episodes between acts or however they separated their things. But
no, I mean I even like the little Night Spring episodes in Alan Wake. Just watching like little Twilight Zone stuff, I thought was cool. Like whatever, but there was a point I was getting at with it too, and I just dropped it. Damn.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It was just basically just me just loving Remedy for what they do.
Yeah, they're making a lot of video games here. I'm looking at their announced game list, and they got some stuff coming.
That's good. Oh, right. The first bar that you run into or whatever, it's called like Ragnarok, and it's like they've always had that weird like Norse mythology theme in their games too, sprinkled somewhere. Like They have their like their band that always comes in for one of the games, like the Old Gods of Asgard.
Yeah,
like they're in Alan Wake, but I think that band carries over and does a song in Control for that one sequence.
Oh, the best part of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ragnarok. I mean, Valkyr being the drug.
Yeah,
there's a lot of that Norse stuff in here.
Which makes sense,
I mean, Valkyr. I mean, it ends up being straight Valkyrie by the end.
Yeah.
So
it's just cool.
Mention a Valhalla in it, right?
Yes.
Towards the end, yeah.
You would have to. You can't have one without the other.
So
like,
what you all are saying is, I just played God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, no,
see, Max Payne like was ahead of its time. It did so many things 20 some years ago.
It even made God of War Ragnarok before they could.
It knew Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones.
That. Now comes the difficult part, where we rank Max Payne amongst the rest of our list. If you want to follow along the list, you can check it out at thefreecheese.com/thelist. Max Payne marks the 43rd game to be added to the list. Just 2 more after this week.
43. We did this 43 times.
Right?
Well, we're doing this 43 times.
Yeah.
Did it 42.
Which is insane. Um,
I'm high. I don't know where you all are at. I'll just throw it out there. I'm very high.
give me a number.
Do you want my score number or a number on the list?
Number on the list.
4.
Whoa.
Ow. That is high.
I told you I'm high. I enjoyed every second of this game. Like, it has some flaws, but like, dude, I had fun just replaying this entire game.
All right.
I mean, we don't have to land there, obviously, but I'm high. It was probably one of the easier 5 out of 5s I've gave this year.
I like it more than Portal 2, but I like it less than some of the stuff below Portal 2. So that's where I'm.
I mean, the gameplay does shine. I think. I'm not sure. It's weird because like I wasn't looking forward to playing it with mouse and keyboard, but now I kind of prefer that for this game.
Yeah.
Like it feels kind of perfect to play it that way.
Yeah, I think I had more fun. If I remember, like I think the reason why I was able to kind of play all in one sitting when I did on macOS was because of mouse and keyboard, how fun it was to do that. Not that, obviously I still have fun on controller, but as I've shied away from shooters on console, it's definitely getting harder for me to go back and play on controller.
And I will say, like, in an era now where we can run things a lot faster, so load times aren't necessarily as much of a thing, unless it's like a current game that is just a beefy, graphic-heavy game.
Yeah.
Getting through the cutscenes of Max Payne are a lot easier to go through now, especially with like a skip button. Because PS2 does not have that, and it takes quite a bit to load those little scenes up. For like every little thing you interact with has to be like a cut scene, and it's like, jeez. But under better tech, I can appreciate it more.
Yeah.
So
even then, I'm
like
sure we would have been more patient at the time for that. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't have known.
Probably.
Yeah, you're not used to SSDs and fast loading times. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's definitely a very creative game, and the gameplay does shine the most out of all of it. I'm actually having trouble where to put this. Because I don't hate it, but you can tell that it's dated at the same time.
It still works really well though.
Right. I mean, I was able to play it today.
I think
and still enjoy it.
visuals are
So,
like its most dated aspect. I think,
but even there's a charm to them that I really like. I like the way this game looks.
Dude, the guys
their
in
face textures are so good.
The guys in the suit when they're shooting that big.
Yes, dude.
It's the best. I missed 5
game.
different screenshots. There's like 5 screenshots on my Xbox where I just missed that face, and I'm so upset.
Like they have like such like high res photo faces for a game like this, and it's like I'm actually impressed with that.
And they're not afraid to like show it either. Like the amount of zoom ins on like an enemy face, like you see Max a ton up close. I even like the style of like how they drew the comic, or I don't know how to draw, but like the way the
art
comic
style behind
looked.
the comic is so good. Especially, this is a subtle thing that is specific, I know, but comic books, older comic books, up until even after this point, they still used the bleed. They still colored it in white, right? Like, because of the way comic books used to be constructed, you kind of had to have that white bleed. Where now a lot of modern comics and modern artists, they don't use that. They use that space however they want. Sometimes it's white if it makes sense, but there's a lot of times where like the art will work its way into those things, right? Or the gutter, whatever you want to call it. This did that where like it felt like a graphic novel. Like it felt like Arkham Asylum, like Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum. Like where just like every panel had more than it needed to burst out of it. I loved the presentation of that, and I loved that it took the comic form and like went somewhere with it.
It definitely hit home a little bit because I remember I used to take photos with my camcorder.
Oh.
And then I would Photoshop those images, and they would look similar to that Max Payne comic. Like do like the heavy like outline and everything, and I forget what the actual filter was called, but it made it look like a comic book. So that was a nice little trot down memory lane. Yeah, I'm like the whole time I'm trying to play devil's advocate. Like how like why could this be lower?
No, I mean, go low. You're not gonna hurt my feelings here or anything.
I legit have like no like area that I'm even looking at to place this in, because it's like I just don't know.
Nothing bad to say about it. There's games I like better than it. So therefore, like, to me, this is between Sonic and Burnout, maybe the new 11.
I can either I can see it being in. Man, yeah, I could see it being between 9 and. I'm sorry. I guess it would be. Yeah, I could see it being 9, 10, 11.
Yeah, it fits in there somewhere. I just don't know exactly where.
I would put it. Sonic and All-Stars is fun. Burnout is fun.
Would you put this over that?
No Mercy. Maybe.
Wherever you all land here is probably up. I'm in agreement. Even if you want to put above No Mercy.
Yeah, it's like my instinct was to put it between Downwell and No Mercy.
I'm good with that. This list is a lot more difficult to move now.
So much more to highlight.
Shoot, yeah, hold on. There we go.
So who else is going to watch the 2008 live action movie adaptation?
You did do that, huh?
I was like, Mark, get in your words about it, because I don't want that to go to waste, because I feel like
I fell asleep on it. I didn't finish it. I don't...
You pretty much Kingsglaved us.
No, like, I don't know. I just wanted something to fall asleep to and watch. So I was like, why not this? Why not watch Mark Wahlberg in a turtleneck just be angry?
Yeah.
I feel like I should get Victoria to watch that with me. Just no context. Like, oh, there's a movie of Mark Wahlberg and Mila Kunis you might like.
Everyone's afraid of these creatures flying around.
Yeah, what the fuck are they? I'm not going to get into it.
I wasn't sure if that was like, I don't know how far ahead they were trying to jump. I was like, does that ever happen in any of them?
Look, I can't speak for 2 because I obviously remember 0 of it, besides the exact door that I can't get by on my save that I don't have anymore. But
okay, yeah, I'm not going to say what it is because it's our final game for the season, so I won't spoil that one for the listeners. But yeah, the first time I played through that game, same thing, but I would open the door and the game would crash. So it's been nice, like, getting redemption this time around, but that's for 2 weeks from now. For 1 week from now, I hope the listeners will join us in celebrating and discussing one of the greatest multiplayer video games ever made. That's right, Bomberman 93, coming to a TurboGrafx 16 near you. Come back and hang out with us next week. Go play Max Payne if you haven't. You can get it on practically anything, and it still rules. In fact, some would call it a top 10 video game. Until next time, thanks, Remedy. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.